Sometimes I'll gaze at a distant but otherwise barren landscape and wonder what lies beyond, driven by a compulsion to discover something that hasn't been seen before. Today we're camped on this sandy playa and will traverse this alluvial plain into the canyon beyond to see what secrets it might reveal. For centuries, this place was home to indigenous tribes, after that to pioneers seeking mineral wealth, and all the while to hardy species perfectly adapted to this desert environment. Say one of the blessings of the desert, even on a cool winter day, is when there's clouds in the sky. So hiking in the desert is kind of a trip. You know, we are not on a trail and we're basically just using dead reckoning from the place we were camped straight into the mouth of the canyon. And when you look at it from the camp spot, it looks like 2, maybe 3 miles. But in the desert, it could be deceptive. Even though the major cause of death in Death Valley National Park is single vehicle rollover accidents, heat-related deaths are not uncommon. So we've come to this main wash that leads out of the canyon all the way down to the dry lake bed to the north. And so we're gonna follow this up and hopefully get into the canyon. But one thing about following washes is that this is a water source, or at least historically it's a water source, which means people probably frequented this either as a trail or as a place of habitation. And so you're more likely to find artifacts along or inside the wash. Our original plan was to make a beeline for the canyon, but we opted for this wash as it formed a more natural trail to our destination. Little did we know that leaving behind dead reckoning for this route would bring us off course and into a parallel canyon. Check out this old jar. Most likely this is just a mayonnaise jar someone discarded while out hiking. But because of the sparsity of visitors frequenting this area, I can't help but wonder if there's more to the story here. Could this be a relic from the old mining days? Since the discovery of gold in 1848, Death Valley has experienced 140 years of boom-bust mining. Few areas in and outside of the park are untouched by the mining footprint. Ever since the last miners left this region, their most notable relic has remained. This print is most likely that of a burrow, like this guy who we saw on the day prior. The burrows here have survived through the centuries, multiplying and at times impeding upon the natural habitat of endemic species such as the bighorn. So here's something else kind of interesting that we found. This is some kind of tag or marker. It says on it RR129 /ale LDY. I don't know what that means, but there's a bunch of other numbers on here. After some research, I discovered that this is a tag for a radar reflector kit, most likely used by the folks at nearby China Lake during their fighter jet training runs through this valley. The kit was composed of a chaff system which would be used to produce confusing signals in enemy radars. How this particular plastic disc ended up here is anyone's guess. So my guess is that at some point there was some type of wagon road that went up this canyon here. The wagons would have been pulled by a burrow. Inside those wagons would have been a barrel of water, supplies maybe for a week, 2 weeks, and all the mining equipment someone would need to possibly strike it rich. It really makes you think about the tenacity of the miners who came out to this area when it was still more or less uncharted, hoping to find something such as gold or borax or some other mineral that would make them rich. So we found a bighorn sheep curl here, not a full curl, but pretty solid. So this sheep probably was coming back down out of the canyon way up there. In the 1960s, the bighorn sheep population had dwindled from historic levels as a result of hunting and usurpation of water sources. But due to conservation efforts, their numbers have now more than doubled, and they are considered an apparently secure species. However, this does not mean that threats like climate change do not abound. Let's see what else Alice has found here. Huh.
What do you think?
Oh no. Almost looks like a skunk tail. Huh. Interesting. Skunk, burrow, badger, maybe? I don't know. As you get higher and higher toward the canyon's mouth, the canyon and the hike itself becomes cooler and cooler. You got a lot more barrel cactus at this higher elevation, probably because of more moisture in the soil. Cooler climb, so they're able to survive a little bit easier. Here you can really start to get a feel for the way that water carves this canyon as we get deeper and deeper into the wash. The white stripes here indicate runoff. And if you look closely, you can see that the gully contains several tanahas, which must be frequented by bighorn in wetter months. Wow, incredible. Alright guys, we have made it into the mouth of the canyon now, and maybe we're more like in the throat, and it looks like from here on in it's gonna be some pretty rough scrambling. We're gonna stop, have some lunch, and just enjoy this incredible aged experience. That afternoon, upon returning to camp, I'd noticed several tracks in the dunes. So, that night, I decided to leave out the trail cam and see what we might find. Here are the results. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Artistic Off-Road. We'll see you next time.